Hi, everyone. I wanted to come on to do an energy reading. Every Thursday, I post energy readings that center on the energy of Jupiter, the planet Jupiter, which encourages expansion in our life. And so I thought that that would be a really grounding energy to focus on related to readings. So I will get started. I hope that everyone is doing okay. One of the things that I want to center this energy reading on is the practice that I actually just got off a webinar related to Octavia Butler's Parable of the Sower. And in that book, there are 12 lessons. And one of the lessons is to know yourself. And I shared in the webinar that one of the practices that I utilize in order to know myself is related to the moon cycle. And, every 28 days, the moon goes through a new rotation. There's full moons and new moons every month. And for the most part, I utilize the moon cycles to track my migraines. Also, it's a practice that helps with grounding. So some people use the moon cycle, some people use seasons even. So, spring, summer, fall, winter. You can track your moods based on the seasons. So if you know that you have, especially depending on like geographically, like where you are, if you know that like in the wintertime, you may be a little bit more depressed or more isolative, working with that as opposed to, kind of pushing yourself to be different in a season where to expect that from yourself, right? So instead of pushing yourself to be different, what are ways to be supportive of yourself when it's the winter time? Because you just know that that's how your body is going to respond during that time, or even in the summertime, right? Like, it could be the opposite. Some folks could have a really hard time in the summer, right? So knowing how and when to support yourself based on potentially the seasons even. So what I'm seeing here in the cards for us related to knowing ourselves and learning ourselves is, in the past, maybe we've struggled with, and we got the 7, the number 7, and this is the Chariot. I never know how to hold the card. This is the Chariot. The Chariot represents movement, action, being able to push forward, knowing when it is time to move on from situations, knowing when it is time to accept new energy into our life. So it feels like that we have potentially struggled in the past with knowing when to move on. Right now, one of the things it feels like the collective is working on is collaboration, how to move forward or move on from partnerships that we've had in the past. This could be related to, people, places, and things. The Three of Pentacles, this way. The Three of Pentacles is related to collaboration, the ways that we're working together, partnerships. It could be a third party situation if this is related to a relationship for yourself. As it relates to self-care, when I see threes, That signifies for me, or that represents mind, body, spirit. So the message could also be, looking at the ways that we are integrating mind, body, and spirit. We got the devil in the future position. And so what that means is really looking at the entanglements. That's what's coming up. Looking at the entanglements that we have potentially gotten ourselves, kind of intertwined with, and whether or not this is a situation that is from or for our higher self. What does this particularly support related to our higher selves? And so, in knowing ourselves, knowing when it's time to move on, knowing when to accept new things related to partnerships, related to mind, body, spirit integration, knowing when things don't feel good for ourselves, knowing when we are overindulging in particular behaviors or things or situations that we need to move on from. Expanding our understanding of self, expanding our understanding of what our boundaries are when we reached, the place of even like a plateau, right? Plateaus are really interesting. Um, they represent a place where, not that you need to give up on something, but you may need to introduce something new, do something a little bit different. I want to pull. I want to pull for us. Shoot, it's okay. Oh, that's what I'm gonna pull right there instead of these. Okay, I'm gonna pull one of these. One of these. Okay, so hmm, knowing when to move on from different entanglements, knowing when we need to introduce balance into our life, feels like temperance energy. You know, what does overindulging look like for you? What does not enough of certain things look like? Maybe you're restricting yourself from things that um, would be good for you, things that you do need to move towards. Maybe there are some things that, again, you're restricting yourself from, but you should move towards it. Something that might create some balance with mind, body, spirit. We got happy ending. Okay, we got happy ending, parenting, and moderation. So, okay, we got happy ending, parenting, and moderation. I never know how to hold these. So what I get from this energy is a few different messages. So happy ending, that feels like this chariot. Sorry about the noise. That feels like this chariot energy, knowing when to release things, knowing when to move on from things. It might be hard, but usually when we let things go, that allows space for new energy to come in. The parenting piece, that feels like energy around reparenting. So knowing when to nurture yourself, when to show tenderness to yourself, related to letting things go, that overindulgence piece, right? There may be a place where you are potentially engaging in behaviors to try to self-soothe, but it may not be for your highest good. You may need to switch up the ways that you are self-soothing. This could also be for folks that are parents, right? Maybe there's something related to your parenting practices that you're overindulging in, things that aren't supportive, related to either yourself or even your kiddos. And that moderation, that just, I cannot believe this noise. That moderation goes hand in hand with the devil as well, right? Maybe there are things that you are overindulging in, or either things that you're restricting yourself from that might be good, that you need to incorporate more. And then let's get a 48 Laws card related to my aunt and those teaching principles and values. What do we need to expand on? How can Jupiter support us? What do we need to look more at? This one is sticking out. I offer words of good intent. I offer words of good intent. Maybe you need to be kinder to yourself, the way that you speak to yourself. Okay. Even in that parenting piece here, even in that parenting piece, I offer words of good intent, right? Maybe there are some things that you've been saying to your kiddos or even to yourself that maybe you need to get in check. Maybe you need to have more moderation around what you're saying to yourself. I offer words of good intent. Maybe even this also feels like setting intentions. I listened to a reader who starts, well, she ends her readings with, and have a good day, and I know you will, because that's the intention you set for yourself, right? Like maybe you need to set intentions for yourself every day that, you're going to have a good day, or, you're going to be positive, or, regardless of how this person, place, or thing shows up in your life, that you set the intention for yourself that it's going to be this particular way, right? So there are a few different things related to intentions that could definitely support our offer words of good intent. So that's been your reading for this week. I hope that that was supportive. If it resonates, let me know in the comments below um, how you can integrate and incorporate some of the things that have been mentioned related to these readings. You can do word associations from words that jump out. And word associations is a word game where words trigger different memories, creative prompts. And so you can do word bubbles around maybe some of the words. You can also journal from these readings. Just jot down things that come up for you that feel supportive. You can also do any type of creative practices off of readings. So that may be helpful. Thank you all, and I will see you next week.